So day 13 has ended for Depp versus the Sun. There's going to be, I believe, one more day tomorrow where they're going to finish up talking to Amber Heard's sister. And then I believe there's 2 other people that are going to give some statements. Then Monday and Tuesday, there'll be final closing statements. And that's it. Then I believe there's deliberation, if this is the same as an American trial system. And then we'll get some kind of resolution. So I would imagine by Friday of next week, maybe we'll find out something. I don't know how long it usually takes for a judgment to come back in these kinds of situations, but we're almost done. So those of you that are anxious for some kind of verdict, you're going to have one pretty soon. Like I said, tomorrow they're going to finish up with Amber Heard's sister. We're going to go over what they talked about today. And then tomorrow, they'll also have 2 more witnesses that are going to talk. And then closing statements will be Monday and Tuesday. And then we just wait for the decision. After that, there'll be the fallout of whatever happens. And then there'll be Heard versus Depp whenever that happens. I'm going to try to go to that one. I'm going to try. I don't know if I'll be able to, but I'm going to try to go and cover it firsthand so I don't have to rely on articles and live tweets, and I can actually give you some real coverage. So we'll see what happens with that. But let's go over what happened here and talk about what happened today. So it was funny. The judge seemed to get annoyed, which was interesting. As you can see from the headline, which I kind of have as a backdrop, Amber Heard says she did not want to expose Johnny Depp. She didn't want to do this. Johnny made her do it. He made her do it. Which has kind of been everything that she's, everything that she's admitted to, like throwing the bottle, attacking him, all of that stuff, he made her do that. It wasn't really her fault. Nothing has ever been her fault. That's been a common theme in every statement she's given. Nothing's Amber's fault. Everything is Johnny's fault. She gets flat tire, it's Johnny's fault. She gets some bad food, maybe gets sick from it, it's Johnny's fault. She loses $20, Johnny's fault. Like, everything is Johnny Depp's fault. Never Amber Heard's fault. They spent a lot of time talking about these damaged paintings. Bunch of damaged paintings that apparently got broken and destroyed. They talked about this for a while. Now, what's interesting, though, and Johnny Depp's legal team was quick to point this out, Johnny was never asked about any of these destroyed paintings that they spent a ton of time talking about today. It's almost like the legal team for the Sun purposely did that and decided not to give him a say. He doesn't get called back to the stand. So now we don't get Johnny Depp's side of that story at all, which I think is kind of messed up. The judge allowed them to go on with this, though. I don't think that that's necessarily fair, though Johnny hasn't really had a fair shake out of this whole situation anyway. It is nice that his legal team is really good. They've been doing a fantastic job. And it was nice that they pointed out that this whole painting thing, which is apparently this whole incident and this accusation that Johnny Depp destroys paintings and has ruined artwork and all this stuff, seems to have nothing to do with him being some kind of lady hitter or any of this kind of stuff. They just they're trying to tie in this monstrous behavior on him. But there was one thing that they caught. So Heard comes in, and she says the painting incident was initially said to have occurred on the 8th of March, 2013, after which there was some filming with Rolling Stone Keith Richards. However, in Heard's 6th statement, she has now realized that she cannot be sure that the painting incident took place on the 8th of March. She now believes that it happened on the 22nd. Now, what's funny, her sister is going to come in later. By the way, I believe I said Amber Heard is done today. This is her last day. Amber Heard's sister comes in, and one of the first things she says is, "Oh, I also want to change my statement that I believe this happened later in March." She doesn't give the date. She just says later in March, not on the 8th. This is the famous picture of Amber Heard, her sister, Keith Richards, and Johnny Depp. I showed you that in the last video. And I wasn't sure at the time who that was. That was Amber Heard's sister. So I believe I said it looks like it could be her sister, but that's what that is. So she came in, sat down, and shared that date. But I'm sure they're not colluding, and Amber's not coaching her in any way. I'm sure that's not a thing, not happening at all. Why would they do that? Amber's a very honest and trustworthy person. Absolutely. So basically, Amber went over that and the dogs again for some reason, and the Coachella incident. That's the famous thing that led, I believe, to her taking a doody-doo on on Johnny's bed, which is why they focused on that so much. What was funny, though, to me is when they brought up the dogs. So the dog incident in Coachella, or in Australia, the judge actually had said he's heard enough on the Yorkshire Terriers, and he doesn't want to hear about it anymore. He's heard enough evidence on that. He actually got annoyed a couple of times during this trial, which I think is funny. I think he's kind of ready to just be done with this. He's finished and wants to move on, which means that I think that this trial might get a more swift resolution. I think he's already made up his mind, in my opinion. I think he's done, and he's ready to settle this. But Amber's pretty much spent the entire time talking about Coachella and some stuff at the Bahamas, the headbutt incident, and that was really it. She finished up. And like I said, a lot of this was coming from the Suns legal team, so a lot of this was pretty softball. Johnny Depp's lawyer interrupted that one time to say, hey, you didn't ask Johnny about the painting at all. This is kind of messed up. And then Amber Heard's sister came in. Interesting little bit, by the way, that I think is really worth pointing out on the statements that she's giving. They had a falling out. She admits today on the stand that Amber and her had a falling out because she sold wedding pictures to the press that they wanted kept private. They recently have reconciled and are now best friends. She's actually, admittedly, as quoted, back in Amber Heard's inner circle. But what's funny, though, is in the statements that she'd given before, that's not how it was. That's not how it was stated. Let me go over some of that with you. Oh, and by the way, before I go over that, the thing with the photo, that photo, I guess, is what Heard has used to establish a timeline for when a lot of the stuff that she says Johnny did had happened. And there's a lot of very detailed statements given by her and her sister, but they conveniently forgot about the date and changed it. It's just very strange. It's also, in my opinion, kind of strange that they both give statements today on the stand and change the date. It's pretty suspect, at least in my opinion. We'll see if that actually plays out into anything. I'm not sure. But a couple of things that the press is pointing out, like this one, Amber Heard's sister admits she lived in Johnny Depp's penthouse despite everything that was going on, and yet also says in a previous statement that she'd only witnessed any kind of physical altercation during the staircase incident, and that was Amber hitting him. Now, what's an important detail here is the reason that Amber says she did that was to protect her sister. And her sister gives an extremely detailed, almost like it was rehearsed, statement on what happened during the staircase incident. However, one thing that she forgot, which Johnny's lawyer points out very quickly, is that, they say Johnny did all of this pushing and movement, but forgets that he had a bright green cast on his hand at the time. They don't mention that. But yeah, he was surely capable of doing all of this stuff. it's just a detail that they forgot. And then her lawyer asks you, are you afraid of your sister? She says, oh, no, absolutely not. I'm not afraid of him at all. I'm not afraid of him. I think she is, because they did have a falling out, and now she's back in her sister's good graces. They're now buddy-buddy again, and, you know, I'm sure she likes being in that high-profile celebrity inner circle, so I don't think that she's going to do anything to go against her sister, but she still gets to call her. So that's pretty much the really big details that dropped today. Like I said, she'll be back on the stand tomorrow, and then there'll be there'll be 3 new witnesses tomorrow that go and sit in the box, and that will be all of the witnesses that are going to be giving evidence. Then next week, like I said, there'll be 1 day of submission and speeches for both parties, and then that's it. This is all expected to conclude on Tuesday of next week. So it's been a crazy ride, and we're getting near the end. I'm looking forward to some resolution, which I'm sure all of you are as well, and we're going to get something. Hopefully it'll be good. We'll see what happens. Anyway, that's it. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. Leave me your thoughts below. What do you guys think about all of this? Also, if you would, please share the video. Throw a like up. Subscribe if you're new. Make sure you still subscribe. Hit that notification bell, and I'll see you on the next one. Peace. Also, if you want to help support the channel, check out my Teespring store. There's a link in the description. You can find some merchandise in there that you might want to check out.